You are Locked On Celtics Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Boston, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Oh, the Celtics take care of business Friday night against the Hornets in Charlotte. They do the same Saturday night. Celtics take both against the Hornets in their first back-to-back of the season, with Saturday's win now 6-1 on the season. The championship Celtics taking care of the young and still learning Charlotte Hornets in back-to-back nights. With that, we welcome you into our Locked On Celtics postcast. I'm Steve Lennox, longtime play-by-play announcer on the basketball side, former national host on ESPN Radio and satellite radio. You are right where you need to be, locked on with the Locked On Celtics postcast, providing a reaction to every Celtics game on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, as well as a Locked On Celtics podcast feed, which is available wherever you get your podcasts. With our latest Locked On Celtics postcast, we're going to be discussing Luke Kornet, Kada, Pritchard knocking down threes, and the Celtics winning for the first time this season, taking the court without JB Jaylen Brown. If you're watching live on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, first, thank you. You can also join the conversation. Hit the comment button. Join the Celtics conversation. Give us your thoughts on tonight's Celtics road victory against the Hornets. One more on this road trip, that in Atlanta, against the Hawks on Monday night. You can also hit me up on the X at Lennox on Hoops with questions, comments, or concerns. Our latest Locked On Celtics postcast brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. So the Celtics down by 2 early, took the lead, never trailed again. Just kept going. Hey, let's put us up there. Yeah. Not sure why that happened. There we are. We got the open out of the way. Let's make sure. We're going to hit the comment button right off the top. Drew White threw Grant, stupid blank, to the ground at the end. Did not see that, Andy, and we appreciate you checking in. Finally, I'm able to catch a post-game live, listen to the audio feed every time. Good win for the Celtics. Let's go Celtics. From London, Akram, appreciate it. Yeah, you're better off on the podcast because this is a face for podcasts or radio, but here we are talking about the Celtics. Strong start to the game. Terrific run in the first quarter. We're going to get to that and a whole bunch more. But no Jaylen Brown for the first time this season, and no problem for the Celtics as they pick up the victory. And it was a strong first quarter for the Celtics. 17-3 run, back-to-back threes from Drew Holiday and Derrick White, led 21-9 with 5:56 to go in the first quarter. Martin for 3 out of a timeout for the Hornets. That made it 21-12, but, just did a terrific job. Jordan Walsh missed on a couple of threes in the second half, but Walsh coming out of the floor, good defense against Martin. At the other end, Pritchard knocked down a 3. 24-8 run for the Celtics at that point in time, up by 13. Nice to see Pritchard heading from downtown again. And Joe Mazzulla, second game of a back-to-back, and got 4 starters on the floor. I believe it was with Tatum in that first quarter. Tatum had a dunk, missed a free throw, trying for the N one out of the timeout. Celtics 26-8 run in that first quarter. Celtics up by 14 after 1. Tatum had 13 again. He gets off to great starts. He's done that. That's been a theme for him again to start this season. Derrick White knocked down 2 threes, had 8 in the first quarter. The Celtics in the first quarter, 6 of 14 from behind the three-point line. Second quarter, Kornet on the defensive end with a block, basket, and 1 hit the free throw. Kornet ended up with 19 for the game. Almost got to 20. When he hit the free throw to complete the N1, Celtics up 17 in the second quarter. Pritchard knocked down a 3, his second of the game. Celtics up 19, 50-31. The Hornets opened up the second quarter, 3 of 13 from the field. Around the 6-minute mark, LaMelo Ball finally got going. He was quiet. Did not score until the midpoint pretty much of the second quarter. Then he got going. Pritchard, though, had back-to-back threes. That gave him 14. Celtics up 21. Pritchard missed on a 3. Offensive rebound. Pritchard got another look, knocked down a 3-pointer. His 5th of the half, 4th of the quarter. Celtics up by 21. Ball, again, was quiet, but then all of a sudden he had 15. Got into the scoring column, then just went from there. White had a 3 with under 2 to go in the second quarter. Celtics up by 19. Celtics up by 18 at the half. Celtics, through the first 24 minutes, 10 of 15 inside the three-point line. 10 of 15, again, inside the three-point line. 11 of 29 from the three-point line in the first 24 minutes. 21 of 44 overall. Celtics up by as many as 21. Again, trailed. Josh Green had a couple of threes early in the first quarter. Celtics were down 6-4, took the lead, never trailed again in the game. But third quarter, Hornets got going. Scored the first 14 of the third quarter and got to within 4 on a three-pointer from Miller. Boy, is he long. Hornets have talent. Hornets have a lot of young talent. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with this season and what they do as well. By the way, Pascal, thanks for checking in with us. But it's going to be interesting to see what they do over the next couple of seasons. Bridges was quiet at times. They've got a couple of their bigs that are injured right now. Diabate is active. He can get after it on both ends of the floor. But in that third quarter, the Hornets started 5 of 6 from behind the three-point line. They opened up scoring the first 14 and started a 17-2 run. 5 of 6 from behind the three-point line, then just went 1 of 9 the rest of the way from behind the three-point arc. Had a couple of opportunities to tie it up. Celtics just did what they had to do. And Tatum in that third quarter, Brian Scalabrine, first NBC Sports reference of the night, Scalabrine said, this is where Tatum, not necessarily with the points, but with the assists, he had Walsh on the three-point line. He missed a couple of threes inside. I think it was Takeda who missed on a dunk attempt. And Scalabrine kind of got on the big man. But Tatum, again, without Brown, led the way in terms of points. Got a lot of points late in the game from the free throw line. Hauser hit a 3 to make it an 11-point lead, 14-3 of the game. Hornets had a turnover. Their final possession of the third, Tatum missed on a 3. Hauser missed on a 3. Those could have been daggers. That's okay. Rough start, but the Celtics still up 11 after 3. The Celtics in that third quarter, just 2 of 15 from behind the three-point line. Celtics managing just 17 points in the third quarter. And I mentioned Hornets knocking down 5 of their first 6 three-point attempts in the third quarter, but then went 1 for 9 the rest of the quarter behind the arc. Celtics, plus 14, plus 18, plus 11 through the first 3 quarters, end up winning it by 10 points. Akram, really like Trey Mann. There's another guy. He's a baller, like Scal said. Yeah, this is a team with a tremendous amount of talent. Can they put everything together? I don't know what to make of LaMelo Ball. The guy is an extremely talented basketball player, but he will drive you crazy with certain things he does over the course of the game. He can hit clutch shots. Can he stay healthy? A lot of just little things with LaMelo Ball. Had a turnover in the fourth quarter. Then he hit Tatum with the shot clock winding down. Tatum hit 2 out of 3 from the free throw line. And it's those little things. Had a turnover, and Drew Carter and Brian Scalabrine said, that's his turnover, his 6th of the game. That's about his average. Those turnovers will drive you nuts because sometimes they come at the worst possible time for the Hornets. Akram, hope I got that right. Checking in with us. Appreciate it. Overseas. Celtics, Neil checking in. He's got the number. Celtics have owned the Hornets. They've won 11 of the last 12 meetings. Thank you, Neil. Appreciate that. I'm taking your word on that one. I was going to look it up, didn't, but hey, you know what? That's what you're here for, Neil. Appreciate that. But again, third quarter, they got close. Celtics were not going to allow them to get any closer in the game. Overall, again, you win without Jaylen Brown out of the starting lineup for the first time this season. 6-1 with the victory, 5 at double figures. Up 14 after 1. Up 18. Hornets made it interesting in the third. But the Celtics take care of it. But again, LaMelo Ball, I don't know what they do with him in the future. Can you see them being a winning team with him running the point? 5th year in the league. Again, big part of it is stay healthy. He's played less than 65% of the games over the course of his 4+ years in the NBA. So the Celtics, again, pick up the victory. One more on this road trip. First back-to-back, 3 total back-to-backs during the course of November. And you got to like everything about what they did. We'll go into the stats. We'll go into the numbers coming up in segment number 3. But again, you take care of a team just like Atlanta on Monday. Trae Young is still there. What do you make of the Hawks? I think Brian Scalabrine made mention of that. Well, what do you make of the Hornets right now? Again, they've got a couple of bigs out. Seth Curry was out on Saturday, but Jaylen Brown was out. Nick Richards, also a big man shoulder issue. He was out. And the Celtics, again, first quarter, 17-3 run, Holiday and White, and just veteran presence. You know, you got Taj Gibson in there, and, you know, it was kind of not an eye roll, but, you know, Taj Gibson makes his season debut. He's a guy who should have some influence, positive influence on the Hornets. And I know I'm going down the Hornets road here, but the Hornets have a long way to go to truly be competitive in the East. They really do. And the Celtics did what they had to do. Workmanlike, businesslike, and just going in, taking care of business. That rough third quarter, chance late of let's go Celtics as well. Keep the comments coming if you're with us on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. Akram, double big lineup. Thank you, Akram. Yeah, wanted to get that. Kornet got the start. Horford did some nice things. Did not score in the first half. I don't think he scored for the game. Check out Horford real quick. Horford 0 for 4, 0 of 3 from behind the three-point line. No points, but again, a steal, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists. Holiday had 6 assists to lead the way. And you get 11, 14, 19 assists from your starters. 4 of the 5 in double figures. Again, going into numbers, but across the board, you know, Horford, again, did not score, but has a positive effect on the game in a lot of other ways. That's a veteran. That's the Celtics as well. Talk a little Jordan Walsh. They had out of a timeout, they had a little tidbit on Jordan Walsh. I want to get into that coming up in the second segment. We'll also have random thoughts as well. More of your comments as well as the Celtics pick up the victory, win their first back-to-back of the season, sweeping 2 Friday and Saturday in Charlotte against the Hornets. And where are we going here? Locked On Celtics postcast against Celtics. Pick up the victory. Never trailed after the first quarter for the second straight game. Locked On Sports Boston, your team every day. Locked On Celtics postcast presented by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you pick up a win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. So the Celtics just keep cooking, just keep winning basketball games. And that's, you know, in many ways, that's all it's what it's about right now. Segment 2, if you're with us, we try to stay away from the stats. We'll tell you the Celtics won by 10. Again, if you're with us, Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, hit the comment button and join the conversation. Pascal, you think Horford has taken a step back, or Celtics not overly using him for the start of the season? Pascal also with Jordan Walsh. Still a long way to go. He has moments, but just like John said, he plays too fast. And that's a young player. Pascal, I appreciate the check-in there because I think you're very accurate with that. Overall, that's a young player. Doesn't matter the sport. Sometimes you just get things going and things are just too fast. Celtics 6-1 with a victory Saturday night in Charlotte against the Hornets. Caleb Burton, again, NBC Sports Boston, out of a timeout on Jordan Walsh. Again, he had a nice defensive play against Martin when he was on the floor, his early stages on the floor in the first half. plays like he's going to get cut. And it was a nice job by Kayla talking numbers about Walsh. Not a great summer. Sit down with Joe Mazzulla. Joe Mazzulla effectively saying, hey, we're going to give you a shot here. And to Pascal's point, just settle down and breathe. But it's nice when you call Jordan Walsh and his number to take the floor. He's not going to have many nights. I mean, he might frustrate you. He missed a couple of three-pointers in the second half. Could have extended the lead in both those instances. But how about Tatum? Tatum in those instances, trusting the guy, trusting a young player. We've got to be able to have that from the veterans. If the game were a little closer, maybe he's not going in that direction. But there's a lot to like about Jordan Walsh. And if he's going to have that mentality where I may not be with the NBA Celtics and the world champion Boston Celtics tomorrow, I'm going to come into the game and I'm going to try to do something positive for my team. I don't want to get cut. I don't want to get sent to the G League. It's a good player to have on your roster. And with the Celtics right now, you can afford him to have growing pains. Let's talk about Jordan Walsh just before the All-Star break. See where he's at in the rotation. But again, the minutes they got, quality minutes off the bench. Pritchard, another big scoring night off the bench after he was pretty much held in check. And not really held in check, but he did things off the bench Friday night when he wasn't feeling it from downtown. Ended up with, I believe it was a career-high 5 steals. I looked at the box score. Shame on me for not sharing that during our Locked On Celtics postcast Friday night. But Pritchard had ways to affect the game. Had a shot and made a shot. I think it was late in the third quarter. Shot clock winding down. Smiley Jogger. Kornet used to shoot threes. Why did he stop under Mazzulla? Eric Collins, the Hornets broadcaster, commented on this both games. Gave stats Kornet's successful three-point shooting prior to Mazzulla. Smiley Jogger, first off, great handle. Appreciate that. You have so many guys. He understands the role right now. Sets a high screen, free throw or above, goes down low, lobs, gets position, finishes at the basket. That's his job for this team. Where would you put Smiley Jogger? Where would you put Luke Kornet? Wanted to say Jordan Kornet there, former ESPN guy. My bad. Where would you put Luke Kornet in terms of three-point shooters on the Celtics? And I think it was Pascal on Horford. You know what? Al Horford's going to give you what he gives you. He's going to provide different things. I'm not saying Horford, maybe three-point shooting contest, Horford, Kornet. It's a mix-up, but he's 7th or 8th on the team in terms of guys you want on that three-point line. I'd think. I mean, 6, 7, 7, 8. But with the Hornets on occasion going small, Kornet, I thought he did a terrific job. Catches the ball in traffic with a second defender in the area in the paint, and go to him. Curious if the Hornets had some of their bigs available Saturday night, would they have gone to Kornet like that? I don't know. But he does a nice job. They look for him on the drive and dish. They can go up high. They can go with the bounce pass. So, Smiley Jogger, again, and Eric Collins, terrific broadcaster for the Hornets, many years now with Charlotte. But the number of guys that you have in front of Kornet that you feel good about taking threes, Kornet has other roles. And if he can establish inside, that opens up, and you have to pay attention to him with his paint touches. That opens up the three-point line that much more. The Celtics move the ball, get open looks on threes. But when you can go inside to Kornet, he can make a pass, and you make that extra pass on the three-point line, that's success as well. Akram checking back in, seeing how Keita and Tatum stare down Grant Williams after their dunks as Grant Williams become a villain. Grant Williams got booed in his home arena in warm-ups, and I believe Brian Scalabrine alluded to him. He was on the big screen promoting something, and Celtics fans booed him. Maybe he does want to play the villain. Akram, with the way Kornet and Keita have been performing, Tillman going to be sitting on the bench more. Hey, it's just a matter of when your number is called. That's competition. You want minutes off the bench? You've got to execute. You've got to know your role. You've got to understand how you're playing. And Tillman, yeah, I mean, Keita and Walsh, Those are guys you can bring along right now, and you can bring them along at their own pace. But Kata just gives you, I mean, when he extends, he's got the wingspan, he's got the energy. There was a play, I think it was in the fourth quarter, it was definitely in the second half. He was out on the ball handler. Then he went and got the rebound off a miss. That's how much ground he can cover. Ball handler gave it up. Kata got inside the three-point line, went and got the rebound. Again, you're looking at players you've got, and you've got your established stars. You've got your true role players that are in the starting lineup. Then you've got some young guys learning on the job and productive with an NBA championship team. Again, I started this, and I mince no words. It's hard to find fault with the Celtics right now. It really is. Won 4 in a row to open. Last year, won 5 in a row, then lost 2 in a row. So they're 5-2 through their first 7. Then they won 6 in a row. So they were 11-2 through their first 13. Right now, 6-1. Same spot through, better than what they were a year ago through their first 7 games. You can't nitpick with this team right now. You can't. You just can't. The way they came back against the Pacers Wednesday and what turned out to be their first and only loss of the season to this point, and then winning back-to-back games against the Hornets, yeah, you thought, okay, maybe they cruise in the second half, double-digit lead. Strong first quarter, up double digits, going into the locker room, coming out of the locker room. Hornets made a run, but they never took the lead Friday night in the second half. They never took the lead Saturday night in the second half. You can't nitpick with this team right now. It's just not there. It really isn't. Neil, you might have been checking in for the first time. Welcome aboard. And Smiley Jogger, I do believe you checked in for the first time. So, again, welcome aboard. Tell your friends about us. Chris, Pritchard, too quick for the Hornets. It's kind of hard to believe. But Pritchard, again, what I love about Pritchard right now, and again, I did not, and I say this, John Corrales knows night and day that much more, one end of the spectrum, as I continue to learn about this team. Last year, we weren't doing Locked On Celtics postcast, but started really following the team on the championship run in the playoffs, April, May, into June, right? But watching Pritchard now, 6 of the first 7 games with our new Locked On Celtics postcast, guy's not just on the three-point line looking for a guy to drive and dish. He moves without the ball. He can take that one dribble in either direction on the three-point line and hoist up a 3 and knock it down. And when he needs to, when they're trying to run him off the three-point line, he'll get inside. He can create for others. Oregon Duck, Payton Pritchard, really coming along, and this is the season. With Trey Mann coming off the bench and Mathurin the other night for the Pacers, it's like, okay, let's have Payton Pritchard in the conversation for for 6th man of the year. Let's see him in the 3-point contest during All-Star weekend in February. Let's see him there, right? Let's see him in that. Let's see him go knock down some threes. Going to the locker room and say, who's playing for second, the way Larry Bird did all those years ago. Was that in Dallas? I think it might have been. We're going to get into some numbers of the night. You can call foul on me if I hit a lot of numbers here. I try to be no stat zone in segment number 2. But I will tell you this, the Celtics win. Pick up the victory. Record and final score don't count towards that. All right? Record and score don't count towards that. Numbers of the night. Let's go deep with those coming up next. Forgot to give my 3 random thoughts. I'll do that in just a moment as well. Hey, Locked On Celtics postcast, Locked On Sports Boston, your team every day. Again, numbers of the night coming up in just a moment. Presented by Game Time. Game Time has tickets for all events, concerts, shows, and your sporting events. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you do not have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Game Time app allows for seat views before you purchase, the lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, and job loss protection action, and plenty more. With Game Time, you get the lowest price guaranteed, or Game Time is going to credit you 110% of the difference. With Game Time, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time picks. Download the Game Time app, create your account, and use code NBA, Locked On NBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms to apply. Again, create your account. Redeem code Locked On NBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Numbers of the night coming up in just a moment. If you've got a number of the night you want to share with us, feel free. Hit the comment button. Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. Akram, I think we can all agree Payton is going to break the tie on most threes off the bench. Yeah, I'll look that record up, but the number, what he's done from the three-point line so far this season has just been terrific for the Celtics. And again, you've got to, Doc Rivers, I talked about this last night, earlier this week. Pritchard hits a three against the Milwaukee Bucks. That was this past Monday in a win at home at TD Garden. Doc Rivers just like, oh boy. The Pacers did a nice job against Pritchard in terms of making him put the ball on the floor and also, running him off the three-point line. So 0-5 against Charlotte Friday night, comes back Saturday. Pritchard off the bench, 6 of 12, 50% on threes, 6 of 12, 8 of 15 overall. So he was 2 of 3 inside the three-point line. Again, to my point, able to put the ball on the floor, 29 minutes without Jaylen Brown in there, ended up 22 points off the bench, second only to Jayson Tatum. So found my new box score on hoopsomgsports.com. So I can look at some numbers a little bit differently. Celtics largest lead, 21, trailed by 2 in the first quarter. Second straight night against the Hornets. Took the lead in the first quarter. Never trailed again. Never trailed again. You got to love that. Tatum ended up with 29. 14 of 17 at the line. A lot of those free throws down the stretch. 29 points, 14 of 17 from the free throw line. 1 of 9 on the three-point line. Holiday 3 threes, finished with 13. Kornet, again, 19. Kornet, perfect. 6 of 6 from the field, 7 of 7 from the line. 4 rebounds. Hauser had 3 offensive rebounds, 7 total. He had 8 points. Again, there's a guy. We finally talk about Sam Hauser. Missed a handful of games, lower back issue. Cade, again, playing meaningful minutes, almost 15 and a half minutes for the game. 3 rebounds, plus minus 3. Not as good as the other night, but still pretty good off the bench. But that third quarter where the Hornets got close, had a couple of opportunities to tie with 3-pointers, did not happen. Offensive rebounds for the Hornets, one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the league. Held to a league or a season low offensive rebounds on Friday night. Offensive rebounds, 8-7 advantage Celtics on Saturday. Absolutely. Taj Gibson actually had 4 of the 7 offensive rebounds, had 2 points and 4 rebounds, all on the offensive end, and I believe 2 or 3 in one sequence on one trip down the floor. Want to get into where I have my numbers of the night here for just a moment. What did I have? Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown out, left hip flexor, averaging over 25.5 per game. But I went and looked at it. Jaylen Brown knocked down 11 threes over his first 3 games. Again, did not play, but 1 of 21 on 3-pointers the previous 3 games, including Friday night. I wonder if that hip flexor had any issue with him shooting. Wasn't noticeable, wasn't talked about on the broadcast. But no JB, no problem for the Celtics as they pick up the win. 6-1 with the victory on the season through their first 7. So again, they were 5-2 last year. Won 5 in a row, lost 2 in a row. Never lost more than 2 in a row at any point last year. Championship run, 18th banner. Hashtag different here. But after going to 5-2 with back-to-back losses, rattled off 6 straight wins to go to 11-2 through their first 13. So you see what the Celtics do here with 1 more on the road trip and then 2 home against Golden State and Brooklyn as we look ahead as well. Smiley Jogger. What are the strengths and weaknesses between Cada and Tillman and Kornet? I think it's almost like a three-headed monster right now. Kornet in the starting lineup each of the last 2 games, so that gives minutes off the bench to other guys. Cade has taken advantage. Tillman is a guy who's going to be physical on the inside. Cade is going to be active. He can be in the paint, but he can also go outside if his guy takes him away from the paint area. Kornet just does a little bit of everything. He can block shots. Had a block shot, went the other end, basket, and won. I believe that was in the first half. We referenced it earlier in segment number 1. But it's like a three-headed monster. And if you're not going well, next man up. And there's going to be Smiley Jogger. You got exactly what you want. I don't know if any of those guys end up taking the starting role from Al Horford. Maybe at some point it's discussed more. Maybe Joe Mazzulla is loyal to Al Horford in that sense. And Horford may have that starting role. And there's going to be nights where Al Horford's got, he's going to hit for 12, 15 points, even more. Gets a night where he's hot from behind the three-point line. He can go get it. So what has he been? He's been 11, 17, and 10. Now his second game this season not scoring. So he's been in double figures 3 times. He's had 5 or more rebounds 3 times. He's had 1 game with a steal. He's had 1 game with 2 blocks. So no one's burying Al Horford yet. But the luxury that you have, again, Brown out of the lineup, Horford out Friday, Brown out Saturday, Kornet's in the starting lineup. So whatever negatives or weaknesses you have with those guys individually, Joe Mazzulla puts them in there so they can have success. Again, Hornets were small last night and even smaller on Saturday. Grant Williams at one point was the biggest guy out there. Scalabrine mentioned, he's your 5 right now. So again, good problems to have if you're the Celtics. Seeing them live tonight, Tatum impacts the game in so many ways. Absolutely. So glad to have him as our guy. Yeah, and I do credit Celtics fans for this. You're appreciating the talent of what you have. Maybe the championship for Brown and Tatum that takes the weight off their shoulders and you move forward. They got one. I mentioned it during the Bucks game on Monday. Out with my wife at a party last weekend, Celtics fan at our table at the party. Celtics are going to win 3 titles in a 5-year span. Nuggets, window perhaps closing on Jokic and the Nuggets. Milwaukee and Giannis. Does Giannis opt out of that huge deal at some point? Celtics have it right there in front of them with this group. And appreciate, Chris, I think you hit it 100%. And live. So, Chris, you were part of the Let's Go Celtics chants and probably booing Grant Williams as well. Hey, good for you. Tip of the cap. What's next? Atlanta. And the Hawks, it'll be interesting as they get into, playing Western Conference teams. But a victory without Jaylen Brown, we'll see if he's back in there on Monday. How serious is that? Joe Mazzulla said before the game, day to day. But he's been playing with it. So on the back end of the back-to-back strategic, you're out of the lineup. Atlanta on Monday. Hawks are going to be playing their second in a row on a back-to-back. They're in New Orleans Sunday. The Hawks won their first 2. They've dropped 4 in a row since. They're going to try to avoid a 5th straight loss on the road to New Orleans against the Pelicans Sunday, as I mentioned. Trae Young. You talk about a guy who's a terrific talent, but does Trae Young end up going somewhere else at some point? Led the team in scoring so far, 5 in their first 6 games. Again, 2 and 4 to start. Young, 5 double-doubles in the first 6 games, points and assists. And then it's home for 2, then back out on the road. Warriors Wednesday at home at TD Garden. Brooklyn on Friday at TD Garden. Next back-to-back for the Celtics, November 12th at home versus Atlanta. November 13th on the road in Brooklyn against the Nets. So their first of 3 back-to-backs for the month of November ends up with a sweep against the Charlotte Hornets. And again, like the Pacers made it to the Eastern Conference Finals against the Celtics last year. But I think they've gotten better this year. Beat the Celtics in overtime on Wednesday, didn't have Miles Turner, who can play on both ends of the floor. But they're coming together more and more. Where are the Hornets the next time the Celtics and Hornets get together? Be interesting to see. Hey, your favorite podcast now has a newsletter. We introduced the Locked On Celtics Daily Newsletter, one stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com. Start your day with the all-new free Locked On Celtics newsletter. Ha, ha, ha. So true from Chris, but my dad booed Grant more. Hey, Chris, good for your dad. Tell him we say thank you. And they were deserved, right? They were absolutely deserved. Want to thank our sponsors, Game Time and FanDuel. We do thank you for making the Locked On Celtics podcast with John Corrales and the Locked On Celtics postcast your first listens every day. Again, we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. Within minutes of the final buzzer of every game throughout the regular season and another deep run into the NBA playoffs, April, May, and June of 2025. Locked On Sports Boston, number one place to hang out immediately after every game. We tip our cap to you. Appreciate your support as always. Locked On Sports, your team, your Celtics, every day.